Okay, this is a video where you're going to get to see me use the three connection methods that we've learned for when the melody note changes but the chord stays the same. This is just another opportunity for you to review. You can see how it's employed. You get to go over the rules several times again, and you can see why I make choices one way or the other. The three methods are move with soprano, where the alto and tenor move in the same direction as the soprano when the soprano moves up or down a chord note. Bass always stays the same. Contrary motion voice exchange, and that's where the soprano and tenor move in opposite direction and exchange pitch names. The alto and bass stay the same. And similar motion is reserved for when the soprano makes a big skip more than one chord tone to the next chord tone. And then the alto and the soprano move in the same direction, changing pitches. And tenor and bass stay the same. We want to make sure that in these cases we check for things like move with soprano, we just make sure that we didn't make anybody go into an awkward range. Contrary motion voice exchange ranges are important, but more importantly, we want to make sure that the tenor and soprano movement didn't cross over the alto or in the bass in the case of the tenor, so it's cross voicing. And that's especially true with the soprano and alto moving because the soprano is going to jump a big direction, like a big amount, at least a fifth or more. And so you got to check ranges, but you got to make sure it doesn't cross over the altos. Otherwise, that gets to be, a writing problem. You can say, I don't care and do it anyways, but you have to make sure that's what you want. I have a song here that I've written up already. It's got the chords figured out and the notes figured out. It's all chord tones. We're not dealing with non-chord tones yet. And when it comes time to switch chords, I will just do that for us. There are connection methods that we'll learn after we get through this. And maybe we'll revisit this video and look at them again. But yeah, here we go. So I'm going to write us through this here. So to begin with, I'll just play this for you. So you go like, when you're writing music, remember there are guidelines. They can speed you when you need to finish on time. Hence the minimum effort because you can just use formulas, okay, or guidelines. So let's start at the beginning. I've got two roots, A, C sharp, and an E, a third and a fifth. So it's set up in root position. It's all good to go. The spacing's okay. The doubling's okay. The ranges are fine. It's fine to have a unison like this. Just can't have the tenors go down below, except in special situations. And you can have this be move with soprano or contrary motion voice exchange. If it's moved with soprano, the alto will move up and the tenor will move up in the same direction as the soprano. If it's contrary motion voice exchange, the sopranos will move up, and since it's going to an A where the tenors are, the A's will drop down to an E. And the only problem with that is you have cross voicing there. So the tenors will go below. If you really wanted to do that, you'd drop your basses down an octave because changing down an octave is completely fine, and you keep them here as well. I don't want to change that right now. I wrote in the bass because it's always going to be roots because we're just doing root position chords. So that's just given already. So I'm going to have everybody move with soprano. Okay. So tenors are going to go from the A up to a C sharp, and it's going to be the same thing over the measure, just like that. Okay. And the altos are going to go up as well to the E. Okay, and then hold over as well. And it works just fine. Just like that. Okay, I don't know if that's coming through on the recording because sometimes this software cancels out the noise of the computers, but it's okay. And then I'm gonna just get us through from here to here to here to where we have a new chord and we can do this again. So let me just quickly write us through there. It's gonna be strangely the same thing, and then we're gonna be there for that, right? And we can have all that the same. And then here we're going to go from there to there to there. Okay, so that's a connection method we'll learn in the weeks to come. So now we're on the E chord, E, G sharp, and B, root position, doubled root, complete chord, and it's also going up. We could do move with soprano again. That would make this alto go up to the G sharp and this B would go up to the E. And I just want to say that although technically E is within range of the tenors, a lot of times when you're writing for younger people or even at the early collegiate level, and you just don't have lots of men that can sing not actual tenors, they're baritones, they're going to stretch really hard for that E. I think you should always just test it out and see. But it's going to be really bright when they go up there. I'm going to use contrary motion voice exchange because the soprano is going from G sharp to B, and this is going from B. We can go down to G sharp and not crossover voices. Ranges are fine. I think it's good. So we'll execute this, which is soprano and tenor move in opposite direction, right? And exchanging pitches, and then the altos and the basses stay on their note like that. And I guess we could go over as well, just like that. Same thing there. Like that. And we have a nice beginning. Okay. And then I'm going to make us a connection method. Again, getting from E to A. We don't know that, but I'm just going to bring us into that right there. So I think we have to use this one. And that one's going to be, actually, that's not going to work. I'm going to have to bring the basses down just because of the range. And then the tenors can go there like that. Okay. And then we jump from here over to the next line. Looks like we've done move with soprano sort of de facto. So the soprano went from the A up to the C sharp, and the altos went from C sharp up to the E, and the tenors went from the E up to the A. So it's move with soprano that's already in place there. Here, notice that the soprano goes, they can, right? They can. It's missing the A right there, skipping two notes. This is a time where we'd want to bring in similar motion voice exchange if we can. So soprano is going to skip two notes, so we can't use these top two methods here, but it goes to the E, which is what the alto does. And the alto can go down to the C sharp, move in similar direction, changing pitches, right? So I'm just going to bring us down to the C sharp, which is what the sopranos have. And if you remember, the tenors stay the same along with the basses. Right? Okay. Now, we have options here. We can move with soprano or we can contrary motion voice exchange. And then we can move with soprano or contrary motion voice exchange, depending on what we did the first time, as long as when we do contrary motion voice exchange, the tenors and sopranos are on opposite pitches and go to opposite pitches. We have to check that out. I think we need to consider ranges. Like we could go move with soprano twice, but then these tenors are going to go up to the C sharp and then up to the E again. And again, you might be fine with that. I'm going to stay very conservative on this. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to, let's try doing contrary motion voice exchange first and then move with soprano. Okay. So these people are going to go, maybe I'm going to move with soprano first, and then I'm going to contrary motion voice exchange. I'll get these guys to go up. So that would mean that this will go up to the C sharp, like that. And then it's going to contrary motion voice exchange on the next one with the soprano. Soprano's going A to C sharp, so it's going to go C sharp down to A, just like that. Okay. And that means the altos are going to do the same thing. So we're going to go move with soprano. We're going to move up to the E right there. And then it's going to stay the same because in contrary motion voice exchange, the alto doesn't move. That seems just fine, right? So similar motion voice exchange from here to here. And then move with soprano. And then contrary motion voice exchange. And our ranges and everything are good. Now, we're going to move to the E chord right here. And I'll just do that because we don't have a connection method yet for us. Right there. And this is going to go down to the G sharp, I think. Probably where it's going to end up there. Okay. Is that going to work? Might work. Yep, it's gonna work just fine. Okay, we have a similar situation where the E is jumping down past the G sharp to the E. So these first two methods aren't gonna work, but similar motion voice exchange, we've set this up will. This is gonna move down to the E is gonna go down to the B. And then I think we're gonna do the same thing we did here, move with soprano and then contrary motion voice exchange. Try it and see if it works. So this is going to come down to the B like this. And then I'm gonna go back up because of move with soprano, and then we're going to stay on the same note because of the contrary motion voice exchange we want to do right there. And I'm going to just figure that out on the bass or the tenor as well. So similar motion voice exchange, it does nothing. And then move with soprano, it goes up. And then contrary motion voice exchange with the soprano, they're going to go in the opposite direction of soprano, switch pitches, G sharp going to G sharp, B going to B. Seems good like that. So we actually have a sequence idea here where it does the same thing in the melody, and the connection methods are all the same too, right? And then this is all move to a new chord, same thing, move to a new chord, same thing, move to a new chord, same thing. So these are all connection methods that we don't have. I'm just going to finish this off real quick. I think this is going to end up being here. And then I'll see what happens next, but this has to come down to the C sharp. Right? And then if we're moving to the next one, da -da -da, I think it's going to come down to there. And this is going to stay the same on this right here. Once we get done this, I'm going to show you where I would go back and break some of these rules. Okay, then it's going to be the same here, like this. And then it's going to be the same, oops, making that extra measure. And this is using the formulas that we learn about in the class. And then there as well. All right, and we're done. It's very quick. We know there's no mistakes in here, and everything is singable, right? So. Right? Seems good. Now, there is a fourth method or way or technique we can use. I'm going to add it right here, which it should look like this. The option should be don't do these methods. That's always an option, and we'll see that. These are good to get us where we need to go quickly, but we can always do other things. As long as we don't ruin the sound, there are some specific rules globally that we'll learn in time that as we get away from formulas and we do what we call free writing, we check for. But generally speaking, the reason I would change anything in here is because of smoothness of line or range or something like that, and singability. I'll give you two places that I think I would do changes. The first one is here, right down here on they can speed you when you need to. This is perfectly fine for everybody to sing. It can happen, but the alto's bumping down and then bumping up and then bumping down even further and then bumping up. I don't know. It seems to me like it, for my sensibilities, I know altos will be like, it's so boring, but I think leaving them on the E there, it changes the doubling so that we don't have a complete chord like the C sharp's missing, but just for one beat, and we heard it here, and we're going to hear it here, and then we hear it there. So it's not like we're missing it. And I would do that for smoothness of line. Now that's an aesthetic choice. I'd also get rid of the B right there. Again, the B is missing momentarily. It's fine. The B was right there. We haven't changed chords. The B's right there. The B's right there. For me, it does a couple things. It smooths the alto line so they're not jumping. Maybe that's not as big a thing as when the sopranos go, they can. There's already a note that's stable and right there for them to land and pitch into. Same thing right here, right? So it helps in a lot of ways to bring stability. I probably would have changed that there. I think the other place I would have changed it also is maybe as we come to the end here, I might have broken away and um, probably changed the tenor line so that it didn't go down. I'd leave it up in this brighter range, um, like this, I think. Right. And then, yeah, I think just so that it's, I don't know, like it comes down here in the first phrase, which is fine. It's the beginning of sort of a question. And then this is a stronger thing. I'll play this. Wrong notes in. It's really funny. Should be. And then dum bum bum. Not down to the G sharp because then we have a parallel line and movement. We'll learn about that later. I do that. Breaks the formula a little bit, but I like the range and I like the shape of the line, and I think the overall color will be better. So don't forget now on tests, when we say, please do this, or please do this, or please do this, you're demonstrating your ability to do it perfectly. But, and I would use this method actually. I would be like, let's play through and use our formulas and quickly lay everything in. And then I'd go through and review some of the lines and go like, is there something that I'd like to do differently? Is there an advantage to that? Does it help? Does it make it easier for us to sing? Does it steady big jumps? Does it, what does it do for us? Does it give us a better color and overall dynamic for the end here? Those are all possibilities. So, but hopefully you're starting to see that quickly you can start to write music. Although this does sound like it belongs in church on Sunday, which is nothing wrong. It just might not be what you want. But embellishments, non-chord tones, inversions, um, activating the texture a little bit with rhythm and things like that will all come into play. And you'll start to see that these are the basic blocks on which we build all those other things. Okay, that's us. Let me stop this recording.